My name is Bill Trinan. I am an associate localization producer with Nintendo of America, which means I work in the localization group and help bring the games that are developed in Japan to our many, many fans here in North America. We couldn't call it Double Dash if it wasn't fast. And fast it is. It's very, very fast. We've got the other kind of little cue to the subtitle is the double part. Every time you race, you're going to be racing with two characters on your kart. Obviously, Mario Kart's a popular franchise. I think of everybody who plays video games, probably like 99% of the people out there have probably played a Mario Kart game at one point or other in their life. Lately, they've been playing it on the Game Boy Advance, Mario Kart Super Circuit. What we've done is we've taken everything that everybody loves about the Mario Kart games, turned them into two-player kart races, or basically two-player karts. So you've got a driver, and then you've got kind of your weapons or your wingman. We've expanded on the number of characters that you can play with. We've added all kinds of crazy new special weapons. And they've actually gone in and done some really, really brilliant track design in this game. That's basically it. When you get down into the gameplay, the way it works is you've got one character, you have one character driving, and you have one character riding in back. And you can control both of those as a single player, or you control them as two players, two human players, one controlling each of the characters. And the characters can swap out so you can have the driver switch to the back. Each character is going to have their own unique items. So say if you were to choose Mario, and maybe Princess Peach, Mario would have fireballs as his special item. Princess Peach has hearts, which would then kind of protect the cart from other weapons that would be shooting at you. And so each character in the game is going to have their own special item, and that's going to be unique to that character. You can only get those items when you are in the back picking up item blocks, or if you happen to catch a double block. And you'll only be able to use those by switching around to the backside and then firing off from there. So really, I mean, Mario Kart is going to be all about, classic Mario Kart racing with Mario Kart super fast-paced action, and then kind of learning these, how to master this two-player or this two-character mode to it. So I think it's going to be something that's going to be, it'll feel really familiar to people just because it is a classic Mario Kart control, but at the same time it's going to feel pretty fresh and innovative as well. When you first start the game up, what you're going to see is you're going to see the title screen, something like that. You're going to have start game, you're going to have records, and you're going to have options. And obviously, starting game is going to jump you right into the racing. And if you happen to have the Nintendo GameCube network adapter and a cross cable and another GameCube and another TV, what you're going to do is you're going to link all that up, and you're going to have local area network or LAN Mario Kart. And the great thing about LAN Mario Kart is that with two GameCubes and two TVs and one cross cable, you can have 8 people playing Mario Kart simultaneously. You can do versus matches, or you can do multiplayer battle matches, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because Mario Kart, of course, is all about the battle. But the other thing you can do is if you've got actually 4 GameCubes and 4 TVs, you can actually have a 16-player Mario Kart race going on with 8 karts, 2 players per kart. So, I mean, if you're really into LAN parties and bringing your friends over and having crazy mad fun on the TV and your video games, you're going to want to do it with Mario Kart. For the single-player mode, there's going to be 2 basic modes you're going to want to play. One of them is Grand Prix, and that is you racing against 8 other computer-controlled karts. And what you're going to do is you're going to race through. Depending on how you place, you're going to get points, and your objective is to try to take first place in each of the Grand Prix or each of the cups. Each cup consists of 4 races. Each race has 8 karts you're racing against, and whoever has the most points at the end is going to win gold or silver or bronze cups to finish the race. As you get gold cups in all the different Grand Prix, you're going to open up more modes, you're going to open up more karts, you're going to open up more characters, secret hidden characters, for those of you who are worried about things like that. But it's going to be, basically we've got 3 different engine levels. There's 50 cc's, which is set up really for beginners or for people who maybe haven't quite polished up their Mario Kart skills recently and want to get a little warm up. There's 100 cc's, which is kind of the intermediate level. That's really going to be, I think a lot of people are going to play that, because once you get to 150 cc's, not only is the game running like incredibly fast, but the AI at 150 cc's is also very, very difficult. And it's going to be not just you trying to dodge all the items. You're going to have to really jockey and fight to get into first place and win the matches. Well, obviously the cast of characters is going to be straight out of the Mario universe. There's going to be Mario. There's going to be Luigi. We're going to see the princesses. We're going to see, Bowser, maybe Bowser Jr., Wario, Waluigi, and even Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, as well as the hidden characters waiting to be unlocked. What's really interesting this time around with Mario Kart is there's a lot of strategy involved in choosing your characters. and choosing the 2 characters that you're going to race with. Because if you choose 2 small characters, the cars that you're going to have available to you are going to be smaller cars. So if you were to choose, say, Baby Mario and Koopa Troopa, you're going to have a choice of some very small cars. They're probably going to be a little bit bouncier, but they're going to have really quick pickup. You might get kind of jostled around by some of the bigger cars, but you'll be a pretty quick, speedy little thing running around out there on the track. You're also going to have unique special items for each one. Baby Mario has one of my favorite items, which is the Chain Chomp. And when you unleash that thing, you go ripping through the course with this gigantic Chain Chomp that just goes and munches up all the other cards and goes send them flying way off. Koopa Troopa, he's got triple shells, triple red shells, which obviously home in on your enemies. And that, other characters can get a single red shell, but once you have 3 of those, even if you're back in 4th place, it's like boom, boom, boom. You've just taken out the 3 people ahead of you, and you can race into first. So all the characters are going to have some kind of very special weapon that's going to be only available to them. And so as you're choosing your characters, you're going to want to try to balance out between, say, some of the bigger characters like Wario and his huge, like Cadillac-looking Wario mobile, or Donkey Kong and his kind of barrel cart, or Bowser and his big Bowser cart. All right, the way the game works is actually pretty simple control. The A button is your gas, so you're going to be driving with that. As soon as you get the go signal, if you hit the A button at the right moment, you're going to get a special boost of speed at the beginning. And actually, if you're playing co-op and both of you hit the A button simultaneously at the right moment, you're going to get the patented double dash that's going to send you flying off, rocketing off the start line. So basically, as you're driving, you're holding down the A button to keep the pedal to the metal. You got the X button or the Y button, whichever you prefer to throw your items. The L and the R buttons are for doing your slides. And if you're kind of an expert Mario Kart player, you may recall the power slide from past Mario Kart games. It's in Mario Kart Double Dash as well. What you do is you hold down your L or R button to do your power slide around a corner, and you go left and right, back and forth on the control stick. You'll notice that the sparks coming out of your tires are going to turn from kind of an orange to a red to a blue. When you get the blue, you let go of the L or R button, whichever you're holding, and you get the boost. And so that's how you kind of power through corners. You can do that, kind of power into people from behind and knock them out of your way. So it's obviously kind of an advanced technique that a lot of people may remember, but may not necessarily remember how to pull off. So it'll take some practice to do that. As I mentioned, your characters have unique items that they're going to get, and if you have, say, maybe Waluigi's got a bomb in his hand and you want to hang on to that and save that for later, you would press the Z button and the characters would swap places. So if you were to hit the Z button, you swap places, and whoever was driving is now in back, and then they would be going to try to get another item or their special item. Mario's special item is, of course, the fireball, classic Mario, which when he unleashes on the crowd sends out fireballs all over the track, bouncing all around. You kind of got to be careful with some of the special items. They sometimes can bounce back at you and hit you and take you out in the process. So there's a lot of technique involved in that as well. That's kind of the basic gameplay. There's a lot of other, technique within the tracks themselves, whether they're kind of, power-ups, boost pads, like we'll see in this course here, or maybe shortcuts. Some of the shortcuts are going to be using mushrooms to, just power through grassy areas or other areas that might slow you down. Some of them are going to be actual shortcuts where you're going to have to look, keep an eye out on the track and try to find them, and it'll take you basically off course and then pop you back on course somewhere else. There's a lot of those hidden on a lot of the different tracks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Something that's actually a little bit different this time is they've kind of, usually you have a standard 3-lap race in Mario Kart. This time they've kind of varied it a little bit so that the longer courses are only going to be 2-lap races. There's one short course that's this really, really tight oval that's incredibly maniacally mad racing going on there, where it's so short you're doing a 7-lap race, but it's all just in one short oval. And so everybody is just like jockeying like mad for position in this race and blasting each other with items, and you're trying to get through to the end and be the first one across the finish line, of course. But the whole time you're in like this little area, and there's like roller coasters and stuff flying by you all around and underneath, and it's really amazing some of the graphic power that they've tapped for Mario Kart. Obviously, a lot of people play Mario Kart for the single player, but I think even more people play it for the multiplayer. And with multiplayer, you've got a couple of different modes. Number one, you've got the versus mode. And in versus, it's you against however many other players you're playing against. And you can do that 4-player, where you've got 4 carts racing against each other, or you can do it 4-player, where you've got 2 carts in teams of 2 racing against each other. So, it kind of offers some variety just in the multiplayer racing aspect. But where a lot of the fun is, particularly for me personally, is the battle modes. And I know everybody probably remembers, from Game Boy Advance Mario Kart and N64 Mario Kart, the balloon battle mode, where you've got balloons tied to the back of your cart, and every time you get hit, you lose a balloon, and the last one standing wins. Of course, we're bringing that back for Mario Kart Double Dash, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And everybody who's a huge Mario Kart fan is obviously going to want to pick themselves up a GameCube for some of that classic Mario Kart action. But there's actually some other multiplayer modes that we've added that I think are going to be a lot more fun, if you can imagine that, than the balloon battle. One of them is called Shine Thief, where you got a shine sprite, which comes from Super Mario Sunshine. And it's basically, you want the shine, and you want to have it when time runs out. You got like 60-second time limit. One person grabs the shine, everybody else is chasing that person, trying to hunt them down. And as soon as they get hit, they drop the shine, and you pick it up. Whoever's holding the shine when time runs out is the winner. So there's, you may not necessarily want to be the first one to get it. You definitely want to be the last one to get it. So that's kind of a little different angle on the whole racing and battle idea. The third mode that we're talking about today is called Bob-omb Blast. And this game is probably the most fun multiplayer game that I have ever seen. And it's so crazy. Basically, the way it works is you have anywhere from 2 to 4 players playing this, and everybody's going around collecting bob-ombs, or bombs, basically, that you're then hurling at the other players. Essentially, the way it works is you have to get 3 or 4 stars, 3 or 4 hits in a row, depending on how many people you're playing with. But every time you hit somebody, you get a star. Every time you get hit, that person gets a star, and you lose a star. So unless you get people 4 times in a row, you're not going to win. And which means, obviously, if you're playing with more people, you could get 3 people all in one blow, and that's going to put you, 1 shot away from winning. But at the same time, somebody could turn around and whack you, and then all of a sudden you're out of the race, and they're about to win. The nice thing is that when somebody is 1 shot away from winning, this nice, beautiful little star appears over their head, so everybody knows who it is, so then you can go hunt them down. Mario Kart is going to be available this November. It'll be out right before Thanksgiving.
Mario Kart Double Dash is the latest entry in Nintendo's long-running Mario Kart franchise. The series made a big splash on the 16-bit Super Nintendo because it was probably one of the best multiplayer experiences on that console. The update for the N64 didn't quite go down as well with fans, mainly because there were a few issues that people weren't very happy with. Mario Kart Double Dash kind of aims to right those wrongs, and I think for the most part, based on what we've played so far, it seems to be doing okay. There have been quite a few changes in this year's version of Mario Kart. The most obvious one are the graphics, which have received a brand spanking new GameCube makeover. You're going to find that Mario and his friends have never looked better, and that the game has never moved better. The frame rate is nice and stable. There's a really good sense of speed when you get up to the higher engine levels. The environments are not really huge, but they're of a good size, and they have a lot of nice detail in them. Little things that you may catch out of the corner of your eye. Now, much like the visuals, Mario Kart Double Dash's gameplay has received a bit of an overhaul as well. There have been quite a few changes, actually. The most notable one is the addition of a second character in the car with you. You're now going to be able to swap in between the characters on the fly with the Z button, whereas previously the statistics in terms of the handling and acceleration and things like that were sort of tied to the character. In Mario Kart Double Dash, these are actually tied to the cart, because you're going to find that when you start a game, you're going to pick 2 characters, and you're also going to have to pick a cart. Now, the characters don't really have a tremendous impact on the racing experience. The characters come into play in a different way. They're going to be broken up into different sizes. You're going to have small, medium, and like large characters. The small characters being like the babies, and the large characters being like Bowser. Those characters will then be able to, based on their size, pick certain carts. Where that comes into play is that the smaller carts have better acceleration, maybe not best top speed, whereas the medium carts are better rounded and have pretty much equal top speed and acceleration, and the large carts obviously are faster but much slower to take off. So the characters don't have a whole lot of impact on racing and driving. Where they do come into play is during combat. What you're going to find this time out is that each character is going to have a unique special move. It's something that you're going to collect as you go through the item boxes while you're racing. And each character will have a unique special move that only they'll be able to perform. So the key actually to victory is going to be finding the right mix of characters in the right cart, because it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have like two characters with the same special ability. You're probably better served in making sure that you have two characters with complementary special abilities in a good cart, because that way you'll have the best of both worlds. In the single player game, you're going to find pretty much the standard stuff, a Grand Prix and a time trial mode. But you'll also be able to play with up to 4 other players on one GameCube, and actually up to 16 on multiple GameCubes with a LAN in the multiplayer option. The multiplayer mode is going to give you basically 3 options: Grand Prix, Versus, and Battle. Grand Prix and Versus are pretty obvious. You'll have the option of working with or against another player. You can actually form a team and sort of share control of the different characters. You'll have, somebody will be Mario and somebody will be Luigi, for example. It's more than just sort of one person's in control of their character. You're actually going to have to do a lot of cooperative gameplay, in that when you both want to switch, you have to hit the Z button at the same time. When you're power sliding, the driver, or like player 1, initiates the power slide, but it's up to player 2 to build up the controller motions to get the boost. You're basically having to make sure that you play with your friend as opposed to against them in your team, which is kind of a nice cooperative thing to throw in. The battle mode is as fun as ever. You're going to find 3 games to play: Shine Thief, Bob-omb Blast, and Balloon Battle. Anybody that's played previous Mario Kart should be pretty familiar with the balloon game, but Bob-omb Blast and Shine Thief are a little different, and they're welcome additions to sort of the multiplayer landscape in Mario Kart. Bob-omb Blast is sort of this insane fight where you're just throwing bombs everywhere, and the intention is to blow up your opponents a certain amount of times. Shine Thief is basically keep away. You're supposed to hang on to a shine for as long as you possibly can while everybody else tries to take it from you. And whoever has held onto the shine for the most amount of time at the end of the game wins. So based on what we've played, Mario Kart Double Dash seems to be pretty good. There's certainly a lot to kind of explore in the game and get a handle on. We've only recently just got our copy, so we haven't gone through it completely. But we're liking what we're seeing. Our only concern is maybe there's not enough new stuff going on. And so right now we're definitely in the process of going through our checklist, and right now this Mario Kart game seems to have everything that we'd expect out of it. Mario Kart Double Dash is currently slated to ship next week for the GameCube. Look for a review very soon.